Series, we looked at what letter writing was all about. Letter writing is an act of communication, and when we write letters, we communicate with people. We have conversation with them like as if they are with us when writing. And we reminded ourselves of the forms of letter usually WAEC syllabus establishes on. The two types WAEC or NECO is on are informal and formal letter. We try to look at what informal letter is: a personal letter, a letter that is chatty, a letter that is, the conversation is not formal, it is informal in terms of conversational wise. It is a type of letter we write to relatives, to friends, to colleagues whom we share intimate relationship with. Also, we looked at the three-part structure of how either an essay or a letter bases on. We have the introduction part, the body, and the conclusion. Any letter or essay written bases its paragraphs on this three-part structure. How is an introductory part of an essay looks like? It starts with the address, a single address at the right-hand corner, followed by a salutation, which is there and the name of the person. Then the body, this is where the subject matter is being discussed. How do you know the subject matter being discussed? It's from the questions given to you in your examination paper. Also, you are meant to have paragraphs. You are meant to have your letter writing written in paragraphs. Each paragraph contains an idea. After you have exhausted your points clearly, coherently, then you move to the conclusion. The concluding paragraph includes the last paragraph and also the complementary clause and the subscript, which includes only your first name. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time of tuning into this channel, this is your online English tutor. I've just begun a series on WAEC and NECO, useful hints on how to answer questions as far as English language is concerned. We try to look at the English language syllabus for WAEC and NECO. So do not forget to like, share this channel to your colleagues as well, to candidates who have registered and about to sit. This is definitely going to be a wonderful medium through which you can access information useful for you to make your papers once and proceed to the next level of your life. So in today's video, we'll be looking at the model, a typical model of a well written out informal letter, which contains the address, the salutation, the body, and the concluding parts of the essay. So let's go on and look at this model. How do you know how to answer or to write an informal letter? What I'm trying to do here is to show you a format, a model of a question. Then we'll go through the letter itself. So this serves as a model to what you are to expect in your original question when given. So this is an informal letter question. Having changed your job recently, you discover that the nature and environment of the new job are different from the previous one. Write a letter to a friend in your former place of work, describing the new place of work and the challenges of the new job. This is an excerpt taken from, this is a question taken from 1995 GCE November. So how do you go about writing this? Of course, the first thing is to write your address, which could either be your school address, home address, PO box, depending on what you intend to use. But be sure that you have an idea of what you are going to use before the examination. There's a place of preparation. If you know is letter you are going to choose, letter writing question, then you must have prepared your series of the type of address you are going to use, well punctuated. So let's look at the address at the right hand corner. Do not forget that Here we have PO Box 25, Ikorodu, Lagos State. That is the first thing. And with the appropriate, well written out date, we have 4th June 2014. Then we have the salutation by the right hand corner. Dear Beatrice, that is the name of the friend. Remember, the question says, write a letter to a former colleague. Write a letter to a former colleague, a former friend in your former place of work. So this is well spelled out. So let's look at the content of the letter. Look at the first paragraph. It says, thank you very much for your letter and your good wishes. You were wondering whether I had adapted myself to the new job and its environment. Well, I can say it demands a lot of willpower to do this kind of job. Looking at this first paragraph, you can see that the writer began by thanking the friend who must have written earlier to ask about the welfare of the friend who just found a new job, and tried to tell the friend that, oh, thanks for asking if I've adapted to the new job and its environment, and discuss briefly the demands of the new job. The second paragraph, let's take a look at it. My new place of work is big. It has a big compound with buildings well painted and decorated with flowers. The company has big lorries for transporting its product to consumers. It also has a modern canteen where every worker goes to eat with a ticket. He's trying to describe the new place to the friend, which from the second paragraph, you can see that the content, the subject matter has kicked off. The explanation, the physical explanation of the new place of work is being described here. So let's move on. It has more workers than my previous working place. It's trying to compare the previous work and the present work. It has more workers than my previous place, and there are better working conditions which motivate workers to higher productivity. It's trying to bring out a form of comparison, letting the new friend know what is at stake or what is on ground at the new place. As a worker in a soap factory, definitely this is a factory, I thought that I would be enjoying sweet fragrance of different kinds of soap. But reverse is the case, because it takes a lot of rigor to do the work. The odor that comes out of the animal fat that is used for soap making is very irritating. Here is talking about the challenges. The place turned out to be the filthiest and most unattractive. You can see that the content of this letter looks descriptive and a bit of narrative. He's narrating the experience at the new place and at the same time describing the new place. So it's both narrative and descriptive, which most letter bases on. Now let's move on to the next paragraph. On my first day at the place, I nearly fainted, and it took me a lot of effort and perseverance not to faint. But as time went on, I tried to adapt myself to the place like other workers. So I'm used to the place now that I have no complaints. Let's move to the next. The only thing that makes me stay hooked to the job is the attractive salary. I guess he never had that in the previous work, He never had that at his previous work. I have an overall coat which I normally use when working. The coat is as dirty and oily as the factory itself. You can see that it takes a lot of rigor, strong mind and determination to do this work. Anybody that is not feet cannot do the work. Every day we have to go to the palm oil factory to collect palm oil for soap making. In fact, everything there is challenging. You can see that very cogent points are being highlighted by the writer. When writing a letter, your points must be coherently and correctly put out, because that's what the examiner wants to mark. So you need to be careful how you put out your points. Make sure they are consistent, not just consistent, they are logically placed or logically written out, one step after the other. Let's continue with the paragraphs. I almost blamed myself when I discovered what type of job it was, but there was nothing I could do since I had already made up my mind to work there. I hope that you can see now what I'm going through. Although the job is very risky, the salary is very attractive. Salary is the main point being discussed here. From the letter, you could say that salary attracted the writer to the new place, which I guess he was being paid less. He was paid less in the previous work, at the previous work. When I get home after the day's work, I have to take a thorough bath, or else I will be feeling the offensive odor of the factory all over me. I felt sick most of the time initially, but I am now hale and hearty. As he's talking about the attractive salary, the writer is also talking about the challenges he faces at the new place of work. So in case the friend wants to come and join, he has prepared the mind's friend of what is to meet at the new place. Now let's go to the second to the last paragraph. Remember the introduction, the three-part structure. The introduction, the body. In fact, the body starts from the second paragraph down to the last or second to the last paragraph. You can see how he went back asking some questions, which I noted in my last series, that what do you do at the concluding paragraph of a letter? You can ask about the well-being. You can ask about another relative who is related to that, your relative or your friend. So let's look at this. How are you coping with your job there? I hope you are enjoying your new boss. How is Idris? He's asking after another colleague, a former colleague. I tell you, I miss you all. I hope to visit you one of these days when I'm less busy and when coming. I will bring along some of our products. I hope to stop here for now. See you very soon and say me well to everybody at home. Bye for now and God bless. Yours sincerely. There's a punctuation mark there, Bolu. The Y is in capital while the S is in lowercase. Bolu. That is the writer, Bolu. No need of surname, just your first name. Or maybe the alias or whatever name your friend knows you with, maybe alias, nickname, or whatsoever. But for here, he has written Bolu. You can see that this is a very concise letter, straight to the point. They have to be overstating or over explaining what the letter is all about. Very straight to the point, concise, coherent, and self-explanatory. So if you use this as a model in writing yours, I believe you have your desired and earn your desired mark in your forthcoming examination. Let me give you some topics that you can revise with at your leisure. Please make sure you study these questions and compare with what the model I've given to you. Number 1 says here, write a letter to your friend abroad, telling him how your country has improved since becoming democratic. This is from NECO 2003. 2. Write a letter to your friend who is schooling overseas on the spread of AIDS in Nigeria and its effect on the populace. This from NECO 2002. Write a letter to a relative abroad describing to him or her some happy events that have taken place in the family. 4. You changed school recently and have been at the new school for 6 weeks. Write a letter to your uncle explaining why you left your former school and describe at least 3 things you find interesting in the new school. The last question here says, a nagging problem in your family has so far defined all solutions. Write a letter to your uncle of yours stating what the problem is and giving reasons why he should intervene. Thank you so much for stopping by today. So far, we have looked at what letter writing is, the 3-part structure, how to write an informal letter. A model has been shared that you can use to practice on your own. I also have given some questions that you can revise with when having your study time. Please make sure you study these questions, write out yours and compare notes with the model given to you. I believe you have so many to learn on this series of WAEC and NECO examination series as far as English language is concerned. Do you have any questions? Drop your questions, your ideas, your opinions in the comment section. Let me have an idea of what you have done so far in your preparation towards your examination. Also, do not forget to like. Please share this broadcast and also subscribe for more exciting topics. I have other videos and more to come as far as this journey of useful hints on how to answer questions in English language. Thank you for stopping by. See you in my next video. Keep learning and keep improving in your learning. Bye.